Our group name is Formulate Bit by Bit. We are doing Project 1, which is Sustainable Urban Planning. In the first half of this video, two team members will briefly explain the coding that went into developing this GUI, and at the end I'll perform a walkthrough to demonstrate how this interface works.
I use Google Maps to obtain aerial images of the three cities we work with: Birmingham, Honolulu, and Seattle. In order to allow the user to choose among the three cities and form a grid over the image, I first took the image files and used the imRead function to change the image into a variable. I used the menu function to ask for user input, and a switch statement follows the choice in city. The execution statement of the switch uses multidimensional indexing to change equidistant rows and columns of the image into black lines in order to form a grid over the image.
When the user picks a city, it loads the row of the matrix that the city corresponds to, with Birmingham being row 1, Honolulu being row 2, and Seattle being row 3. When the user starts the program, a variable called text box is made. This variable contains a zeros matrix that is 52 by 52. That is the size of the grid of our cities. Every time a user enters a solar panel or wind turbine, it finds the X-min and Y-min in order to place the colored section on the grid. It also changes this X-min and Y-min to X-grid and Y-grid. This then is used in matrix indexing to replace the 0 found in that index with the number that corresponds to that solar panel or wind turbine. Every time a user enters a solar panel, it finds the area of the panel. To find the area of the panel, we load the solararea.mat file, which contains the area of all the panels in inches squared. From there, it converts it to feet squared. To find the quantity of solar panels placed into the grid, we do the ceiling of 6 divided by the panel area, 6 being the amount of feet squared of each grid unit. Once the user clicks on the Bills of Material button, it takes the first column, the quantities column, of the Bills of Material matrix. From there, it finds all the rows with non-zero numbers. From then, it uses row indexing to just take out the rows that have no zeros in them and puts it into a second matrix called BOM current. From there, we take the cost and we multiply the cost by the quantities to find the total cost. When we find the total cost, we do the sum of the quantity costs. Then we just list the names, which is the second column, and from there we open up a file called the Bills of Material text, and we print the user has %d%s new line, which prints out that the user has a blank amount of a certain panel or wind turbine. Then at the very bottom it prints the total cost turned out to be $%.2f new line, which prints out the total cost. We then close the file and finally open it for the user to see. Since solar panels are giving numbers 1 through 10 and wind turbines are given numbers 11 through 18, quantities are replaced in the bill of materials matrix through matrix indexing. When the user clicks the Save button, it asks them what is the name of the file you wish to save and end the name with .txt. The file name is then converted to a character string rather than a cell string, and then finally it's checked to see if the user ended it with txt. Once that is found to be correct, it saves the file and also makes sure that it's converted to an ASCII file. It then also proceeds to save the name of the file into a .mat of the same name, and finally saves the picture to the same name as a .png.
Program. So once we hit run, this first dialog box will appear, and we have 3 choices, and we just choose which city we want to work with. So for now we'll just go with Birmingham, and the main window appears. Here we can add our solar panels or wind turbines, check the energy estimates as well as the bill of materials, or go back and choose a new city. So for now, we'll just add a few solar panels in and demonstrate how this limit function also works. So we have our list of the total possible materials under solar panels and wind turbines. So we choose which one we want, and then the confirmation box will appear. And this confirmation box also contains the square footage and price of the wind turbine that you want or the solar panel that you want. You go ahead and click yes if that's what you choose. And now we'll move the cursor around and choose where we want to place it on the grid. And each solar panel and wind turbine has its own color code. So we chose the first one and it's labeled as red. Notice how we've already made one selection, and we have 9 more left, as you can see here, amount of panels / turbines you can add. So this is the remaining amount we can add. So let's go ahead and add 2 more solar panels. And now, since we've added 3, we have 7 more left. And now we can go ahead and add, let's say, 2 wind turbines. Alright, so if the user feels that they are done choosing their solar panels and wind turbines, they can check the bill of materials. So it'll tell you the amount of each item that you have chosen and its total cost. And the total energy can also be total energy, solar energy, and wind energy can be calculated through this drop-down menu. So here we have the total energy estimate, the solar energy estimate based on the solar panels we chose, and wind energy estimate for the wind turbines we chose. Once you are done using the GUI, or done selecting all of the panels and turbines, you can save this file as an image, a PNG file. So we just name it Birmingham .text, and we have to add that .text in at the end to save it properly. So just select OK, and it'll be saved as a PNG file. And if the user desires to do so, they can go back and select a new city. So say Honolulu, and add their solar panels and wind turbines. So for now, we'll just do 2. So we've made 2 selections, and here we see that we have 8 more left that we can do. We have the total energy estimate, solar energy estimate, and wind energy estimate, and bill of materials. We have 1 of the solar panels and 1 of the wind turbines, which is exactly how it should be, and we have the price estimate, the total cost. And this can be saved as well under Honolulu. And that is our GUI, and that's how it works.